The Everlasting Wonka, Chapter 8, The Date. Charlie was ready to set a date to reopen the factory. There was a few more things that needed to be completed, and as Charlie himself prepared to lead the first tour around the amusement park, even more ideas came to him. To capture the attention of those on the outside of the factory and to build up a desire to visit, Charlie, along with his workers, took part in painting the factory in bright, cheerful colors. All the paint was laced with candy so that no unpleasant paint fumes were emitted. The smell of different types of candy settled over the whole city. People pressed against the gates, making remarks that Charlie got a kick out of. Many times they would shout out questions, but Charlie would just turn, smile, and say, "All in good time, my friends, all in good time." Sometimes, when the shouting from the TV and newspaper media got to be too much, he would simply turn and tip his hat to them. The most difficult task to finish in time for the opening was the reconstruction of the old outdoor garden that he had tried to share with the public. It was decided that the most interesting thing to do, which was also the fastest and easiest, was to turn it into a haunted forest, leaving the old, rotten, broken fence just as it was. Charlie set up an insect barrier to keep outdoor bugs from entering the factory area. He continually fed the bugs outside the factory to keep them satisfied. That was his secret. As a result, the pests never came any closer, jeopardizing his work with other sweets. However, the barrier around the outside garden area had been consumed, and there was a problem with insects there. To resolve this, he went to the top of his smokestack and dumped scalding syrup, which, as you can imagine, killed the insects and sent them to their own candy heaven. The syrup was thin, and you could see through it as you walked around the transformed garden. You were able to see bugs of all kinds under your feet, much like dragonflies caught in the amber sap from trees. The Oompa Loompas were then able to set up another barrier to keep any other insects from entering. The garden, now labeled the Haunted Forest that will give you the willies, depicted the horrible results from vandals. It showed the truly terrifying side of life all around us. It displayed the message that human nature can be very ugly. Behind each bush of spearmint leaves, under every destroyed hardtack bridge, were spine-chilling scares. Charlie called this controlled chaos. After creating all amusements in the park, indoors and out, Charlie interviewed and hired employees for extra supervision, ride operators, and security. The Oompa Loompas continued with their job, making the candy, and Charlie was the only one adding the ingredients, so the secret could never be divulged by anyone else. Finally, opening day arrived. Rather than having the usual brass band play at the opening for this newly vamped factory, Charlie had a rock band. After the performance of a few songs, Charlie came down from the sky in the famous glass elevator. Everyone noted that it was much larger than before, and he wasn't alone. It was filled with Oompa Loompas. Many people still feared them, thinking they were some type of alien. The elevator landed so quietly you could hear a candy wrapper drop. Charlie was excited as he exited the glass elevator and stepped up to the microphone. "Attention! May I have your attention, please? I am honored to announce that with the help of my staff, my very own parents, and the one and only Mr. Willy Wonka himself, the Muse, I have been able to change the factory into an amusement park. You will see things here and taste things here that you have never and will never see or taste anywhere else. Today, I welcome you, one and all, but I also ask that you do well while you are here. Charlie paused, closed his eyes, and took a deep breath before continuing. I want to give so much, but I don't want you to take too much. There is a time to play hard and yet at the same time remain responsible. No adults will be allowed to enter without a child, and no child will allow the adults they are with to misbehave. He ended with, we must all use common sense. Come on in, the candy's fine. With that, he cut the candy ribbon, the rock band fired up again, and each person was checked by security before they entered. On to chapter 9.